Oh, sorry, that's me. Oh, also me.
That's a local bird for
Thanks, Kathy. So I'm just going to talk a little bit about woodlands. So this area of woodlands is one of the few areas of woodland that are actually within the boundaries of the whole site. But the site is almost completely surrounded by what we call ancient woodland or priority woodland. And also local wildlife sites. So Ifield-Brook Meadows is both a local wildlife site and a local green space. High Hill Woods, that we'll see in about half an hour's time, is a local wildlife site, and there have been talk of making it a site of special scientific interest. So we've got about 75 acres of ancient woodland, which is really premium habitat and very strongly protected by planning law, which is immediately adjacent to the site. Another area of ancient woodland is Ifield Wood, for example, which is not designated as a local wildlife site. Plus another 75 acres of priority woodland, which is just that little bit less rich in terms of habitat, but is still to some extent protected. I mean, all of this is kind of crossed by watercourses like Ifield-Brook Meadows, River Mole, Ifield-Brook Meadows, Ifield-Brook, River Mole, they meet at the end of the next field, and various kind of ditches which feed both of them. And that is all why 75% of this land and the 10,000 house land, 75% of that whole area has been designated as a biodiversity opportunity area, i.e. it's already rich, but it has the potential to be even richer and more valuable for wildlife. I'll just mention another couple of wildlife rich and designated areas that will be affected, even though they don't back onto the site. So you've got Ifield Mill Pond, also a local wildlife site. And I've already mentioned Willoughby Fields Local Nature Reserve. And almost most precious of all, we've got House Courts, the site of special scientific interest, which is kind of over beyond High Hill Woods on the golf course, and I'll point in that direction when we get there. We'll walk along here in a moment, and I'm just going to say look out for ancient woodland indicator species, because there are loads of them here, and you can see things in the hedges and you can see the trees, and you've got photos of some indicators in the handout. One thing on insects and bugs, the Homes England ecologists. Homes England in some ways have been pretty good. They've shared quite a bit, not all, but quite a bit of their data that they've been collecting. And the entomologists, the bug and beastie and insect experts, said actually the invertebrate assemblage, i.e. the range of insects, is of regional importance, i.e. it's rich and abundant. And of course that's a good food source for birds and larger beasts. So, you know, it's indicative of what a good basis for wildlife we've got here.
Will be the highest density housing, so it's going to have 550 housing units, which will be 6-storey developments of flats above multi-use purposes on the ground floor level. You're also going to have the primary and secondary school here, a food shop, a leisure centre, and provisionally an 80-bedroom hotel. So the 80-bedroom hotel in South will add to the traffic problems in the area. So looking out onto the golf course itself, across most of the golf course, you're going to have the, across all of the golf course, you're going to have the higher value housing. So we've got hillside running through most of the course, and then across the back there towards High Hill, you have got woodlands, which is going to be the executive housing, because they have the lovely views of the special site of scientific interest, High Hill Woods. So yes, all of the golf courses will be developed with either the neighbourhood centre or with housing. I'll hand to Fenella now to talk about biodiversity.
I mean, there's not a lot to say that I haven't hinted at already, really, but so we're now at the sort of southern and western corner of the development site. Kathy has mentioned High Hill Woods. You can just see the top of the trees. The golf course kind of slopes up quite quite significantly towards Hyde Hill Woods, and it is Hyde Hill Woods which is currently it's got 40 acres of ancient woodland inside it, and it's absolutely linked very strongly with hedgerows and woodland to Housetops SSSI, which I mentioned, which itself, if the 10,000 goes ahead, will be totally surrounded by housing. Hyde Hill Woods has become more important in the last year because the Homes England ecologists and bat experts have discovered that the Bechstein's bat, which is it's both rare and it's fairly restricted in its range in the UK, so to have colonies here is really something rather special, and is the reason, believe it or not, that some other areas in Horsham district are classified as important wildlife sites at the European level and are very heavily protected. Natural England have said that Hyde Hill Woods, because maternity roosts have been detected in there, should even be reclassified as an SSSI. But they're not doing anything about it. They've been in discussion with Homes England and Horsham District Council, and as far as we know, they're not going to do. This is in the public domain, by the way, but as far as we know, Natural England are not going to push on it at the moment. But what they have insisted on is that Homes England leave an area at the top. Kathy was talking about this housing area called Woodlands. They've had to sort of reduce that by a third, possibly. So the most expensive houses in the whole of the development have been cut back quite drastically because they've got to leave that space for these Bechstein bats for feeding and roosting at the top of the golf course.